So as you can see,
our camper threw up.
Yeah, our camper threw up everywhere. Have we not ran into some serious challenges camping in the woods?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so if you guys are familiar, we moved into a camper in the woods and the current outside temperature is 9 below with the wind chill about 20 below. For anybody that says, oh, do this, do that, do this, stay tuned to this video. Let's go! Welcome back to the channel. It is JD from Leterrip Adventures. As you can see, we are at the house all bundled up. What are you doing, babe?
I'm building a wall to keep the snow yetis and the wind away.
Keep the snow yetis and the wind out of the way. She's burning a fire, making some things happen at the back of the camper. We will kind of explain some of that, but haven't done an update video in quite some time. If anybody is not familiar with the weather, which I know most of the nation is kind of in an Arctic, like cold as balls situation. Here in Wisconsin, last couple of days, it has been overnight temperatures of about 10 below with the wind chill, anywhere from 20, some places even 30, friggin' below zero. So we're gonna kind of touch base with some of the stuff that we have ran into on this freaking camper, because I'm telling you what, it has been a challenge up to this point. We've had extremely mild winters here in the state of Wisconsin for 4 years prior to this. The 1 year we decided to do something as crazy as this freaking thing, it is brutally nasty as far as winter is concerned. So either way, first off, we're gonna jump to the next clip, which is us going into town to get us some propane, because we have multiple different heat sources in this camper. Either way, check this out. All right, so we're officially done, filled up. Check it out. Okay, in the back there, we got one of our 100-pounders. Now, that gives you an idea on how long we've been running on that for about a month now, as far as some cooking, mostly heating. We finally burned through 100-pound tank, start to finish, full to empty. Now, you might ask yourself, why are you using 100-pounders when you could get, say, a 2 or a 5 or 1,000 pounders? Because I was talking with the lady that filled this up here, and this is kind of the general rule or general consensus as far as the state of Wisconsin. Now, this may vary in other states, so I'm just giving you an idea to make sure you do your research in regards to renting either a 500-pounder or a 1,000-pounder or whatever the case may be, because if you are, if you are in a camper or a wheeled trailer such as ours, unless it is proven to be either up on blocks, tires taken off, and completely stationary, most gas companies will not lease you or fill a 500,000 pound or a tank that is like, say, for a regular house or a trailer home or whatever the case is, for liability reasons. Because the way they see it, and I get it, if you're on wheels and say for some crazy reason that thing decides to roll away, creates a spark, or the truck pulls away, forgets to unhook, something happens, you're blowing stuff up, starting a fire, for liability reasons, they will not lease you or hook up a regular stationary, say 2, 5, or 1,000 pounders. So that is one of the reasons why we unfortunately are using the 100-pounders. We've got a couple of those, plus like you've seen the 20-pounders. But either which way, we're gonna get back to the house, get this thing hooked back up, and then we will continue to go over some of the subsidized heat that we have had to use in our camper, because Wisconsin this year has been like, hold my beer. Like this weekend coming up, shortly after I'm recording this video, it is supposed to be 20 below with the wind chill. And that is no joke when you decided to take a camper, move into the woods, and see if you can make it happen in the state of Wisconsin. So either which way, let's get back to the house, get this hook backed up, and we'll go from there. All right, so we are back to the house. This is what we're using so far. So as of right now, we've got 3 20-pounders. There's one underneath, there's 2 up here, and then we do have the 100-pounders. So we moved out here at the, babe, when did we move out of here? Or when did we move out here? August 1st. August 1st.
Been a bit.
So we've been here a while.
When it started out, it was much warmer.
Yeah.
And now things are frozen over.
Frozen over and cold.
Cold. The closets are cold.
Yeah, so either way, we'll touch base on that regardless. We're talking about the whole propane aspect of things. So since we've been here August 1st, We did all of our cooking, all of our miscellaneous stuff. Once again, shout out to Side by Side Mike. He provided us with these 100-pounders to use for the time that we are out here on the property. We went through, I would say, 2/3 of one of those tanks in about 3 months, but obviously we weren't really heating with it, and then it started getting cold. Now we really started heating with it, I would say, I don't know, it had been about a month, 3 weeks to a month is what it took us to burn through one entire 100-pounder, which you would say, okay, that seems like a lot, but if you see the situations we ran into with this freaking thing, to go about a month on 100-pound tank, heating excessively, because babe, how many nights do you think you've had over or below zero already this year? I'd say you had what?
I'd say just under 10, maybe 8 or 9.
8 or 9 days of below zero temperature. So she is over there on the other side of the smoke. She's pretending like she's burning stuff. It's more of a smolder at this point.
Well,
but
that's why I'm throwing some smaller pieces on, get her ripping again.
there you go. But either way, so yeah, she's had probably 8 to 10 days of below zero temperatures in the month that it took us to burn through that first 100-pounder. But from the outside of the camper, you can see that we have had to take some necessary steps.
Gas.
What's that?
We're gonna need some gas.
All right, gas cans in the garage. I know you're scared, but whatever. Anyway, so we've got a tarp on top of the camper. Reason for that being is when it snowed, you could actually see the seams underneath the rubber roof where the heat was dissipating through the roof of the camper. Now what was happening is it was melting the snow. It was coming to the edges of the camper where the awning is rolled up, where we've got our slide out awning. I'll show you that here in the back, where we've got our slide out awning right there. And it was creating ice dams. Okay, when it starts creating ice dams, anybody knows, even on a regular friggin' house, that water and ice is gonna find a way into the said weakest spot, and we did not want that to happen on the camper. So since we've put these tarps up on the top, which goes all the way from the front, right there, all the way to the back, overlaps the back of the camper. Wrapped up like a
inside and out. Wait till you see.
Yes. So that has not only helped with keeping the heat inside the camper, doesn't look the greatest, but it's only temporary, and it's what we are having to do to not only not hemorrhage our pocketbook as far as heating costs, but to also save the integrity of the roof of the camper. So, and what's nice is when it does snow, it shuffs right off of there. You hit it with a broom, give it a pull, and it just slides off that cold, slippery tarp, makes roof clean off quite, it makes it pretty decent. So then we've got, obviously we did the skirting all the way around the camper. Boog up, boog up, boog up, boog up, boog up, boog up. Skirting. Yep, skirt. And then on the underside of the camper, still nice and dry, still obviously warmer. Whoop, obviously warmer than the outside temp, but it is still chilly under there. From where the actual rails of the trailer are about right here to the outside of the camper, I could see light. I could see where cold air was getting inside the camper from underneath, which it is still cold. We'll touch base with that when we go inside. What we've done to, combat some of the cold air radiating from the floor of the camper, because just like a lot of things, build quality on some of this stuff is not what it used to be, and we have definitely ran into some challenges. So we've got insulation, skirting, tarp over the top, and done some definitely due diligence to protect the outside of this camper to keep as much cold out and heat in. And on top of that, like I said, what the wife has got going on, a lot of times we got wind coming out of the north. So this seems stupid, but how many times have you heard this tarp flapping in the wind when it's windy?
Not much anymore.
Not much, yeah, not much anymore because it's buried, but this will be constantly like pushed this way. You can see where it is a windbreak, and if you stand here when it's windy, makes a big difference as far as just wind blowing the heat right out of the camper. So we found some old pallets, piling up some snow.
Snow is good insulation. So.
Yes, snow is good insulation, and we're trying not to stack it tight up against the camper due to the fact that we just don't want. Yeah, we gotta get out of here in March. We don't want, one, this thing completely frozen in, and two, we do not want water and all kinds of stuff as far as water intrusion or damage or anything like that. So quick update, rigs are still there. You'll see an upcoming video on this thing. Just took it out for a good rip session. Just a little update video to show you guys that this thing is still here. I know we haven't had a chance to ride it, but like I said, we at this point, with the crucial, brutal winter temperatures, we are just trying to survive, because living in a camper, unless you go like, wait for it, unless you go like wood heat or something crazy where it's gonna be like permanent, it is a freaking bear to keep that thing freaking warm. So, we've also got Big Blue, update video on that. Do have a bunch of stuff going on with Big Blue, which is a pain in my ass. As of right now, we got steering stem issues. It's flopping out, rolling around, or sliding up and down. Not sure if it's from doing wheelies and dropping it really hard, if it just slid down up the output shaft of the power steering. We do got a clutch related issue from smoking it down in West Virginia. I cleaned it, looked at it. I don't know if it's just because I put a used belt on there. When it comes down out of the downshift, makes some funky noises. So steering related issues, clutch related issues, and then we also have starter relay that took a crap. I can get it to start, but I've literally got to arch the starter relay to make it happen. Pain in the ass. Big Blue needs some love. But it is freaking cold out here. I'm going to leave the wife to it. We're going to take you inside and show you some of the stuff that we've had to do to not die. And now takes you to the inside. As you can see, we do have stuff. We do have a lot of stuff in this camper, not only to be able to survive, but the necessary things that you just got to function on a everyday life. So in the comments, put in the comments, how many different heat sources do you think we have in this camper in order to survive during extreme temperatures? Now, mind you, when it is, say, 5 degrees, 10 degrees above zero, it is actually relatively comfortable in here, and you can function. The camper does stay relatively warm, and we don't have any issues with ice buildup or anything on the windows when it stays above, say, 5-10 degrees. But when it starts getting frigid, anticipate that you are going to run into some challenges if you try to do something like this yourself. So I'm curious how many you guessed. I'm curious how many heat sources you guessed we run in the camper to stay warm during extreme frigid temperatures. If you guessed 1, incorrect. Guess 2, no. Guess 3, getting closer. 4. 4 is about what we figured out has been the right amount of heat to be able to keep this camper warm, not go broke while doing it, and making sure we stay safe when it starts getting, you know, 10, 15, 20 below. Okay, option number 1, radiator style heater. Once the oil in this thing warms up, it is amazing how much heat this thing distributes at the back of the camper right here. It is definitely a go-to for the heating source right here in the camper. Now, it is set on low and it is plugged in right there. Now, you ask yourself, why do you not plug that thing in and turn it on high and just let it eat? A lot of people are not familiar that one outlet runs to the next outlet, that runs to the next outlet. And if you run these things at 1500 watts, which a lot of these are capable of, you do definitely risk the chance of compromising the integrity of the electrical system and overheating things you do not want to overheat. So take that into consideration. Now, like I said, we do have 4 sources of heat, some of them running all at the same time, but we have changed what the settings are on every one of these heat sources in order to distribute the electrical load throughout the camper. That was a tongue twister. But the thing is if you look on the boxes and you look on the settings and get the details of a lot of these heating sources, they do have all kinds of options in regards to the settings on these different pieces of equipment. If I run this at high, it pulls about 1500 watts, which on a camper style outlet, even hooked up to Sure Power, you do risk the chance of compromising the not only electrical system, but potentially burning something down. No bueno. Now, if you look on the boxes, and it will show you not only that it was tested properly, but if you run this thing, say on Eco, it's only 400 watts. If you run it on medium, it's 800 watts. If you run it on full tilt, it's 1500 watts. Now, can this camper outlet handle 1500 watts? It can, but for how long? That is the question. So to distribute the electrical load in this camper, we run that on medium, which is about 800 watts. Now, the same thing with heat source number 2, our electric fireplace. This has the option as well to run it on high or run it on low. If you run it on low, it is the exact same thing. Runs at about 800 watts, 700 watts, somewhere around in there. So we've got that running on medium to not only tax the electrical system, but to distribute the load between the camper. Not to mention, we can run multiple different heat sources to not only heat up the back of the camper, the middle of the camper, and we'll talk about what we got in the bedroom, and it's essentially the same amount of energy use of running one of these at full tilt and not getting the same results to heat the camper as a whole. Now, let's go to the back. Let's go for a little toll here. Oh, we made it to the back of the camper. That took a long time. Just kidding. We've got this guy right here. Good old $10 infrared heater. Now, that is one of those things, same thing. It is only 400 watts. And you would be really surprised with something like that on how much heat that little $10 infrared heater puts out. Do we leave it when we're on when we're gone? Absolutely not. Do we leave it on when we sleep? Absolutely not. But when we're subsidizing heat for probably an hour, 2 hours at a time, that is a great way to not only heat. Now we've got the back of the campers getting some heat, the middle of the camper is getting some heat, and the back of the camper is getting some heat, which really evenly distributes your heat sources throughout the camper and keeps it relatively comfortable when things start getting cold and it starts getting nasty. Because this was at 61 degrees when I came in about 20 minutes ago, turning the heat sources on and letting them run. It's now already up to 65 degrees, and within an hour, hour and a half, it will get up to 69, 70 degrees. Now, obviously, these things cannot be ran when we're gone. We get that. This is a learning curve we've had to figure out dealing with extreme cold winter temperatures, because everybody realizes that these campers, they're not built, anything is not built like it used to be, and there is definitely some issues you run into to not only as fast as you put the heat in, it goes right back out. So we have definitely addressed a lot of those. We're staying safe, we're staying comfortable, even though winter camping can be a pain in the butt. It's not bad. Definitely a learning curve, but not bad. Now, coming on to our main source of heat is right there's a thermostat for the propane. We've got the propane under there, and we already touched base in regards to the 200 pounders and the 320 pounders. Before I leave out on the road, I make sure that my wife is 100% set up to make sure that if something goes wrong, she at least has the guaranteed heat of the propane furnace. Now, we set it at 61 when we're gone. All the stuff that has the potential to become a hazard when you're not monitoring it or you're not in the camper gets shut off, and we solely run on the furnace. Now, you would think, holy crap, you've got all those heat sources. Is that enough? Absolutely not. We have had to do some pretty significant things. You've seen on the outside the tarp. We've done the skirting. We've done the insulation along the rails underneath the camper. Building freaking walls outside, which the wife, I'll show you, she is currently still working on to get a windbreak out there. We have had to do all kinds of things to make sure that we keep the heat inside this camper and keep the cold outside. So let me take 5 minutes here, and I'll show you the other things that we've ran into, the things we've had to address, and what we've had to do to keep this camper warm. One of the main things is right here. This is extremely important. Now, this is a Medea dehumidifier. We've done a bunch of research in regards to which ones are the best. There are so many options out there, but the one that kept coming up was the Medea. It is a huge game changer in regards to condensation, water buildup, even just the simple things like the animals breathing, which, check out Fred right here. Here he is. What you doing, Fred? What you doing, good? Sleeping, enjoying himself. But just the breathing from the cats and you sleeping, it's amazing how much condensation and like dew and stuff builds up inside the camper. When it's extremely cold, any cold surface it hits, it freezes. So get yourself a dehumidifier. It is a must when you are doing winter camping to not only keep things manageable, but to protect the integrity of your camper as a whole, because everybody knows water damage is no good. Next thing we ran into is these windows. I'm going to roll this up. So it is about 5 degrees outside, wind chill below 0 right now, and as you can see, we have a very minute amount of condensation built up in that air pocket between the plastic and the window. Now, before we did this, which we recently did that, literally, I know yesterday and today, before we started filming this video, we have tried everything to keep the ice buildup, the water, the condensation from becoming a serious, and I'm talking serious freaking problem, to the point where the ice was 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick, which is no bueno when it comes to preventing water damage and keeping the heat inside this camper. Now, we've tried everything that these guys have talked about. We tried a reflective bubble wrap. We tried all kinds of stuff to like put up against the windows to keep the heat in. Did not work. Absolutely not. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. If you're gonna do serious winter camping where you're residing in this, you know, tin box long term during extreme cold, you have to put something like this plastic on your windows. And I'm telling you what, it has been a huge game changer. The wife, now you can see that there is a little bit in there, but once it warms up, it disappears. We have no ice buildup. I mean, we were getting it on the window frames, up on the wallpaper, all kinds of places that you do not want it. And I'm telling you what, the amount of how much it cut down on the drafts inside this camper, it has made a huge difference. We've done it on that window. We've done it on this window. There's a window behind my shelves here. We've done it on that window. We've done it on this window. And you can see normally when it's cold like this whole thing would be ice built. It would be on the frames. It would be down on the bottom. And there is absolutely none of that. So we did it this one, this one, that window. We'll come back here. Oh, and not to mention, we plugged off that. There is the reflective bubble wrap up there. We've got this plugged up. We have it on that window. We have it on that window. And that right there, not only distributing the heat and the electrical workload on this camper, distributing the heat throughout this entire thing, sealing off your windows, doing the stuff outside, it is definitely a manageable option to do something as crazy as moving into a camper during extreme cold temperatures. Don't let everybody's like, oh yeah, it's easy, just put some bubbles on your window, or like do this, do that. If you're a serious full-timer in extreme cold, you will have to take some pretty serious steps to make sure your camper is 100%. That's what we do for water. It works. Not fancy, but it works. And we use my dad's facilities, and that's what the wife emergency pees in. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it works. So you'll see a video coming up in regards to out bombing a little bit on the Razor. Content has been slow, but I am serious, guys. I've been on the road hauling ass. For me, as far as work is concerned, this is the busiest time of year for me. A lot of the places we haul for, as far as equipment and stuff is concerned, they shut down over the holidays, and they, you know, install new paper machine lines. They do all kinds of stuff, so we are asshole and elbows. And not to mention, when I'm out and about, my wife is the one that has been holding down the fort in regards to making this camper life actually work. So when I get back, it has been hustle, hustle, hustle to plug holes, to weatherproof windows, to make sure dehumidifiers are working properly, to make sure they stay safe as far as heat sources when I'm gone. And so far it has been a success. But shout out to the wife as far as making this happen, because like I said, she's been holding down the fort when I am gone. But those are some of the things we've had to do. Really do your due diligence as far as plugging up holes, insulating, coming up with good heat sources that are not only safe, not going to compromise not only the camper, your pocketbook, and multiple other things. But that is where we have been. That is an update. That is what we've had to deal with when it comes to 20 below zero temperatures here in the state of Wisconsin. All I know is we've got 100 and some days before we make one of the biggest life changes Ashley and I have ever made. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that thumbs up if you want to see content, guys, when we post. You guys have been absolutely smashing the affiliate links between RPM, Bikeman Performance, GLife, all those guys, LOYO Lights. If you use leterrip, saves you guys 5%, gives us a kickback to continue to experiment, try crazy things like we have been, get into the rigs that we currently got, figure out some new tow rigs as far as the vehicles to get us on to our next chapter. And like always, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you, and on to the next adventure.